Okay, so in the Lost Lounge, just back from a screening. I mean, I will be honest, it was just because it was the latest film showing, and I figured, oh well, let's just try it out. It is the new film from Paul W.S. Anderson, written by Constantin Werner. Now, I do believe that Werner and Anders, in some places it says that they both wrote it, but in other places they're like they both came up with the story. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not, but I do think Werner wrote the screenplay for the most part. Right. The film is produced by Milla Jovovich, Jeremy Bolt, Dave Bautista, Paul W.S. Anderson, Robert Kulzer, Jonathan Meinsner, Constantin Werner, executive produced by Richard S. Wright, Martin Moskovich, Christoph Heikak, Kevin D. Forrester, Kirk D'Amico, Nico Brunzima. It is associate produced by Irina Copley and Stuart Williams, with line production from Christoph Solek and Udo Happel. Okie dokie. Paul Haslinger took care of the music. Glenn McPherson, cinematography. It's edited up by Niven Howie. Carolina Kosiba and Susan Smith handled the casting. Production design is Lucas Trisniski. Michael Dera and Jacek Welch were art direction. Costume design is Milena Charasek. Just butchering names, people. Whew. Okay, so our cast. We have got Gray Alys, played by Milla Jovovich. Boyce, played by Dave Bautista. The Enforcer, played by Ali Jova. The Queen is played by Amara Okareki. The Overlord is played by Jayek Drizwez. We have got Janet Jarris, right? The Queen's right-hand man, played by Simon Loff. The Patriarch, played by Fraser James. Mara, played by Deirdre Mullins. Ross, played by Sebastian Stanwich. The Hammer, played by Tu Landin. The Old Woman, played by Evelyn Hall. The Midwife, played by Camilla Clamut. Who else do we have? Kane, played by Nicholas Stone. And that's a lot of the people. Yeah, I think that's our main lot, right? So, the gist of the story. A queen desperate to find happiness in love takes a daring step. She sends the powerful and fearful witch Gray Alys to the Lost Lands to give her the magical gift of turning into a werewolf, with the mysterious hunter Boyce, who supports her in the fight against dark creatures and merciless enemies. Gray Alys roams an eerie and dangerous world, and only she knows that every wish she grants has unimaginable consequences. Yeah. That's not really what this film was. Because it's like a queen desperate for happiness in love. That's not really what we saw. What we saw was a queen maneuvering for power. Right? That's really what it was. You know? And everything else, like, oh, only Gray Alys knew that her wishes would... No, but she told everyone. You know what I mean? Like, I've got to grant any request, but it comes with consequences. You know what I mean? So it's just like, everyone knows. It's a bizarre one, right? It is an adaptation of George R.R. Martin's short story, right, In the Lost Lands. I'm not sure if this was part of his Wild Cards universe. Wild Cards? I think it's that's what it's called. Yeah, I believe so. Now, what I do wonder though, because George R.R. Martin was very much one to speak up about the changes in Game of Thrones and, you know, the other adaptations HBO are doing, and whether they were done well or badly. You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna talk. He's gonna talk on it. So I'm curious to know what he thought of this film, because it is not the quality of Game of Thrones. Let's just say that it's not that quality. It is. Oh, it's because it starts off right. It's all kind of misty, and then this figure comes out of the mist. It's Bautista, and it's just like, oh, I'm gonna tell you a tale of how I met Gray Alys and how she saved us both. And you're just like, oh no. Right, it was just bad. It was bad. And then we've got this woman, right? Now, it's Milla Jovovich. We know it's Milla Jovovich. She's hanging, right? She's got rope round her neck. She's standing on some wood. And she's surrounded by people. Now, it's... anyway, right, this whole sequence, and it's just like, oh, look, she can escape, and she kills most of the bad people. It's just like, yeah, look how much of a badass she is. Yeah. Like, Milla Jovovich, she's only really in Paul W.S. Anderson films. Right? Like, you don't really see her in a lot of stuff from other people, which is it's an odd one, right? It's a real odd situation, because like, we've seen her actually act. We've seen her actually act and be decent. But she then also has just been terrible in so many things. And Paul S.W. Anderson has made some horrendous films. horrendous films like Pompeii. Oh, Death Race 2000. The Resident Evil films. Like the first one doesn't start too badly. You know what I mean? Doesn't start too badly. And then it ends like, ugh. But the problem with Paul S.W. Anderson, he also directed Event Horizon, which was tremendous. Now, supposedly, it did not do well in the cinema. It didn't do well in the cinema at all. But, man, it's an incredible film. So, on paper, when you look at who's in this film, it should be good. I mean, it should be decent anyway, right? You should be like, all right, that was fun. That was passable. But you come out like, this was so generic. It was so generic. It was insanity. Right? Just like the names were terrible. Gray Alys, Boyce, the Overlord, the Patriarch. It's just this. It feels like something AI would write and make. Right? Because it's, flicking through the internet going, oh, what are terms used in, generic sci-fi, like fantasy films. Oh, and it just pulls all of those out, right? Even on the map, the names of all the places they were going to, just generic. Like the film had no soul. Aesthetically, right? That superficial layer of the film, on this, the first glance, it works, right? It does have that kind of a post-apocalyptic Western feel to it, and there's some good shots, like there's one, the moon coming from behind clouds, this close-up of the rifle in the holster, and there's some decent shots. But then when you just drill down slightly, it's just, right? Like everyone's got good teeth. It starts off going the remains of humanity live in this one little place, and it's not the best of existences. If it's not the best of existences, if it's so bad, so crazy, people are so poor, they're not going to have good fucking teeth. Not going to have good teeth. They're not going to have good clothes, right? But when you consider all the fights, like riding through dusty lands, Gray Alys and Boyce's clothes aren't ripped up, aren't dirty. You're just like, wait, this makes absolutely no sense. There's no blood stains. There's nothing. And you're just like, huh? What are you doing? So that's bonkers. Just the story, like the plot, is throughout. She's just like, Gray Alys is, I've got to say yes to every wish asked of me. And she's saying it to Boyce all the time. And at no point he's like, but why though? Right? There's the logical response is why? She's like, I'm cursed. Why are you cursed? Right? That's a conversation. Those are the logical things you would ask, and doesn't follow that. Doesn't follow that. You know, we got Djokovic outrun a train, which is like you ain't outrunning a train. What are we doing? We ain't outrunning a train, man. You know, she's a witch, and there's bits where, you know, we only see one type of magic, and then suddenly she uses different magic, and you're just like, why didn't you just do that shit from the beginning? Like, huh? And they do this whole reveal thing towards the end, and it's just, this is not a great film, unfortunately. You know. I kind of feel, though, if you enjoyed, if you enjoyed stuff like Solomon Kane, right? If you enjoyed stuff like the Sam Worthington Clash of the Titans and its dreadful sequel, right? If those are your jam, if those are the kind of fantasy films that you do find fun, right? If you liked, what was it, that Vin Diesel film, the Witch Hunter, something like that, right? If you like those films, then in the Lost Lands, you'll enjoy it. It will work for you. But if you see this film, right, and you see it's an adaptation of a George R.R. Martin story, and you're like, oh, I really like those. Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon are really good. It's not on that level, right? Don't be mistaken, people. It's not on that level, okay? So be warned, in the Lost Land.